and the King James Bible University. And today's teaching is titled, Trust Not in Multitudes, but One Spirit. As, as the sheep that leaves the flock to seek and hearken to the one shepherd, we must also be severed and cut from the world of darkness to never return, but enter into a new way of walking, guided and nurtured and comforted by Jehovah, the Spirit of truth and righteousness. Circumcision is a must for our growth in believing and trust in the Spirit and not the flesh of the multitude. Let's go to Exodus chapter 23, verse 2. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. And let's see a history lesson of this, of our forefathers, and why we are in the situation we are in these days, this very day, because of rebellion, pride, and stubbornness, being stiff-necked. So let's check it out. In 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 1 through 4, 6 through 11, 13 through 14, 19, 25 through 26, and 28 through 33. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, Thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore, for thy reason, make thou the grievous service of thy father and his heavy yoke, which he put upon us, lighter. So they're giving a petition. They're asking for a little comfort from the new king to make their burden lighter. And we will serve thee. And he said unto them, Depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed. Verse 6. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said, How do you advise that I may answer this people? So he went to those that were wise, those of old age, that was seen his father, that seen Solomon rule with wisdom. So they were inquired by him, King Rehoboam. So we must take heed of this statute in Ecclesiasticus, because this is what Rehoboam should have done, but instead he didn't. He chose another way. He chose the multitudes of the sinful, or the multitudes of the naked. Sirach chapter 8, verse 8 through 9, and 17. Despise not the discourse of the wise, but acquaint thyself with their proverbs, for of them thou shalt learn instruction, and how to serve great men with ease. Miss not the discourse, and discourse you can find in page 1502 of the Paleo Hebrew Spiritual Dictionary. And discourse means teaching, exhortation, speech, counsel, or communication. So miss not the exhortation or the speech or the teaching. And exhortation you can find on page 1510, and it's encouragement, admonition, counsel, instruction, and urge. Because we seen it was an urge for him to get this instruction from these elders, because in 3 days he was supposed to have an answer for the people that was going to come back and serve him. So miss not the discourse, miss not the teaching, the exhortation, the encouragement, the admonition, counsel, speech, and the urge of communication of the elders, for they also learned of their fathers, and of them thou shalt learn understanding, and to give answer as need requireth. Verse 17. Consult not with a fool, which we're going to see him do, for he cannot keep counsel. So let's go back to verse 7. So this is the elders speaking to him wisely. And they spake unto him, saying, If thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and will serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever. But he forsook the counsel of the old men, which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him in the presence of him. So he took the counsel of those young men, those that were still on milk and not weaned from the breast. They were still under their own, he's using his own tutelage instead of hearkening to the elders. That pride came up to where he want to go with the crowd that's rooting for him. That sounds good to his understanding, to his ears. And he said unto them, What counsel give ye that we may answer this people? See, he didn't join himself to the multitude. He didn't number himself with the multitude. What counsel give ye that we may answer this people, who have spoken to me, saying, Make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter? And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, Thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, Thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. That's that pride came up. They giving them wicked counsel. And verse 11, And now whereas my father did lay you with a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father hath chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Verse 13, And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young man, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. And this is the outcome. So Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day, because they went after the multitude of the wicked instead of giving good counsel, hearkening to that good counsel, and having things comfort and peaceful as the way of Jehovah is. This is the way he should have chose to go. The way of the Spirit. That one Spirit. (22) But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. This is what those elders was trying to get him to understand, but he forsook their counsel. Let's go to verse 25 of 1 Kings chapter 12. And it gets worse. After the people rebelled, he rebelled against the Most High. Well, he already rebelled against the Most High by not taking that wisdom from those elders. But he really departed. Then Jeroboam built Shechem and Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence and built Peniel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, Now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. Verse 28. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. So he's trying to change the ways to fit him, so that he could become God. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. So this is why we cannot follow the multitude of the wicked, multitude of the sinful, because we'll end up in these places of captivity, worshiping gods made with hands, idols, and worshiping men that have put themselves in high places and put themselves in high steeds, made themselves rulers of the government instead of having Yahweh, the salvation of the anointed way, guide us and be that ruler, that one king. But he says, Behold thy gods, these idols, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of confusion. How can an idol bring you out of confusion when an idol is of confusion? That's all they did in Egypt, was worship gods. So that we need to take heed and see these things in scriptures, how men will try to trick you and deceive you into worshiping them. And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan. And this thing became a sin. For the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan, and he made an house of high places, and made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not of the sons of Levi. So he's switching everything up, basically making us making Christians, because they are full of confusion. They're not getting their omer that's they're supposed to be getting, because the lowest of the people are from the ground. They're carnal minded. These are the same ones that he took counsel of from to make the people of Israel depart from him. And now they're departing from the ways of Jehovah by setting up themselves eminent places to worship the gods which they proclaim brought thee up out of the land of confusion. But we must not join unto those multitudes. We must have that spirit of discernment to understand which way to move. In verse 32, and Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Judah. And he offered upon the altar. So did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto the calves that he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places which he had made. Verse 33, so he offered upon the altar which he had made in Bethel the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Israel, and he offered upon the altar and burnt incense. This is the same way we are today. We worship the days of traditions of men. Easter. All these corrupt days, and we don't understand and don't have a clue about the holy days that we're supposed to gather as children of Israel. Exodus 23, verse 6. 6 through 7 and 13. You must follow this instruction. Thou shalt not wrest the judgment of thy poor in his cause. Keep thee far from a false matter, and the innocent and righteous slay thou not, for I will not justify the wicked. 13. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the way of other idols, of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. So that's in the law. That's from the beginning what we're supposed to be understanding and circumcising these ways of the flesh out of our hearts. Proverbs 13. Verse 3, 6, 10, 15, and 20. Verse 3. He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. Verse 6. Righteousness keepeth him that is upright in the way, but wickedness overthroweth the sinner. Verse 10. Only by pride cometh contention, and we're being contentious against the Most High, against His Spirit, by being prideful. Same way we can see how we seen Jeroboam rise up and be contentious in his pride by building these eminent places and these idols and giving reverence to days that he made up in his own head. Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. So if he would have took that advice from those wise men, he would have did well. Let me find it. Give me 1 second, because it just popped in my head. Genesis 4 and 6. And the Spirit of God said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thou countenance fallen? Verse 7. I'm sorry. If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Righteousness keepeth him that is upright in the way. Verse 6. But wickedness overthroweth the sinner. Verse 10. Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. So we see right there. But with the well advised is wisdom. If thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, because wisdom is going to flee. Wisdom is going to accept you if you do well. If you take heed to the instructions that are given to us. So 15. Good understanding giveth favor, but the way of transgressors is hard. Verse 20. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. And that's something we should meditate on and keep as a fringe. Which way will you walk? Will you walk with the multitude of the fools, of the sinful, of the naked? Or will you take heed to that one spirit, which is of wisdom, which dwell in those that are wise, the wise men, not of this world, but of the Spirit of Jehovah. First Kings 11 verse 33. chapter 11, verse 33. Because that they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in mine eyes, my understanding, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did the beloved his father. So this is what got us in trouble. Not taking heed to the ways of the wise, but forsaking that one righteous spirit and taking heed and taking on upon these idols, which send us to the destruction, the path of destruction. Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 7, verse 16 through 17, 20 and 20 through 21. Number not thyself among the multitude of sinners, and the sinners are those of this world, those that think not upon the holiness and the righteousness of Jehovah, but they think upon their own vain imaginations and come up with these idols. They forsake him that made them. But remember that wrath will not tarry long. Humble thyself greatly, for the vengeance of the ungodly is fire and worms. 20 through 21. Whereas thy servant worketh truly, entreat him not evil, nor the hireling that bestoweth himself wholly for thee. So this is going back to Jeroboam. These instructions is in this book, the way we supposed to live our life. Let thy soul love a good servant, but he made their yoke heavier, and he scourged them with scorpions. Scorpions. It's in page 1512 in the Sovereign King James Bible. Scorpions, evil men, wicked men, fiery serpents. So these deceivers, fiery serpents, creatures of confusion, devils, workers of iniquity. I was on 21. Let thy soul love a good servant and defraud not him of liberty. We follow not the multitude that do wickedness, but we shall hearken to the wise men which are of the Spirit of Jehovah, and not let legion possess our emotions and thoughts of the heart, which will carry us off to the desolate and destroyed. We must discern which way we will walk, either after the false lights or to that one true guiding light of our Savior, Jehovah. Isaiah chapter 9. verse 2 and 6 through 8. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. This instruction, this book of guidance. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them have the light shined. 6 through 8. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his way shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Creator, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there should be no end, upon the throne of the beloved, and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with teachings and doctrines, with justice, from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Spirit of God of hosts will perform this. The Spirit of the Creator sent a word into Jacob, and it have lighted upon Israel. So we have no excuse. It's either we in or we out. Are we going to be part of this community, this government of peace, and take hold of the instruction, that light that is given to us in this shadow of death, where the world worships idols and false things and deceitful ways, and they lie and blaspheme against the Most High? They are enemies against the light that is guiding us. Which multitude? Because there are many multitudes that are in this world, same way as many multitudes of fish that are in the sea. Will you take hold of them, or will you take hold of that rock that will withstand you during hard times, troubles, during the storm, whether the storm be that comfort, that sanctuary, that great counselor that will give you wisdom? Psalms 82 and 1. Jehovah standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He teacheth among the idols. John 1 and 1. In the beginning was the Word, that wisdom, Jehovah. And Jehovah, that Word, was with the Creator. And the Word was the Creator, because the Creator and His Word is one. He spoke it, and the Word performed it as a humble servant, that counselor, that Prince of Peace, that mighty guide, wonderful. Verse 4. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. That son, that servant that was given, not the child that was born. That was just a vessel. But the multitudes will worship that vessel instead of worshiping that servant, that word. that came down, that was in the beginning. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the servants of Jehovah, even to them that believe on his way, which were born not of blood of life, of this life, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, the multitudes, but of the one, salvation, the anointed way, our guide, that light which the world cannot see. That light that shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Verse 5. John verse 1, chapter 1. Psalms 82 and verse 2. 5 and 5 through 7. How long will you judge, teach unjustly, and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Because you are in that darkness. You cannot comprehend what is good. But this is giving you understanding that you are teaching unjustly in that darkness, and accepting the persons of the wicked. You dwelling with the multitudes of sinners. Verse 5 through 7. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said you are guides, you are idols, and all of you are children of the Most High. So you've turned backwards. You've gone the way of Cain. If you would have done well, that wisdom would have been imparted to you. But since you ran out the way, that sin, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Sin lieth at that door, waiting. Let's see it in action. Isaiah 14, 12 through 15, and 18 through 24. How art thou fallen from heaven, that separated place, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? They weakened the nations with all those idols when they forsook him and walked after vanity and their vain imaginations. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Jehovah. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. But ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Because they walk on in darkness. The foundations of the earth are out of course. Because he's talking about ascending into heaven and exalting the throne. But flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. So this is all confusion and just a thought that comes to naught. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregations in the sides of the north, showing our hearts. God is showing our hearts right on our sleeves, right here. That those prideful ones, those that do not take heed to the counsels of Jehovah, of that mighty one. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit, and fall like one of the princes. (18) All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. They weaken the nations. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. And this is why we are scattered throughout the earth, not having a home, because we couldn't get it together. We had that seed of evildoers in our hearts. That's why we are on the lowest and the bottom. Our carcass is trodden underfoot. For I will rise up against them, says the Spirit of God of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the way and the remnant and son and nephew, says the Spirit of God. I will also make it a possession for the Benner and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, said the Spirit of God of hosts. Verse 24. The Spirit of God of hosts hath sworn, saying, Surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand. Jeremiah 15, chapter 15, verse 19 through 21. Therefore, thus says the Spirit of God, if thou return, then will I bring thee again, and thou shalt stand before me. And if thou take forth the precious from the vial, thou shalt be as my mouth. Let them return unto thee, but return not unto them. And I will make thee unto this people a fence brace and wall, and they shall fight against thee, but they shall not prevail against thee. For I am with thee to save thee and to deliver thee, says the Spirit of God. And I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked, and I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible. Let's go to Psalms 147, 11 through 13. The Spirit of God taketh pleasure in him, in them that fear, that desire him, and those that hope in his mercy. Praise the Spirit of God, O Jerusalem. Praise thy guide, O Zion. For he hath strengthened the bars of thy gates. He hath blessed thy children within thee, thy works within thee. Now let's go, let's see. In Daniel chapter 3, let's see an example of those being persecuted but still not joining to the multitudes of the heathen. Verse 12 through 18. There are certain Jews, followers of Christ, whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, not thy idols, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do you not serve my gods, my idols, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Fiery furnace, and who is that guide or salvation of Israel that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so of our salvation, whom we serve, of our Savior, the Anointed One, whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy idols, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So, no matter what, stand strong through it all. Stand tall through it all. And don't fold. Be a man and stand on what you know is right. We can join to the multitudes of the sinners, but we must walk this path, even if we walk it solo. But we know we have brothers, those that are like-minded brethren, that we can get guidance and counsel from, because they obtain that spirit of 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 guidance, that gift, those gifts that Jehovah have given them to give to the people, to feed his sheep. So we must always know where our strength lies, and know and be courageous and understand that Jehovah is our comfort, even in the midst of a fiery furnace, as we seen here. Second Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14 through 18. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion have light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with the infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of Jehovah with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God. As Jehovah hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their guide, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, says the Creator, and touch not the unclean thing. I will receive you, and will be a father, a creator unto you, and ye shall be my servants and daughters, said sons and daughters, says the Creator Almighty. So let's go back to Daniel chapter 3, and let's go to verse 19. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen in their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the servant of Jehovah, the servant of Yahweh. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, that multitude, saw these men, upon whose body the fire had no power, nor was in hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Knowledge and understanding is given. Be the guide of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have sent his angel, his messenger, and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any idols except their own God. And I think I'm gonna call it for right now, and I'm come out with a part 2 of this. Trust not in the multitudes, but one spirit. And this is Deacon DeForest Smith with the House of the Lost Sheep of Israel and the King James Bible University. We are not affiliated with any camp groups, Christian theology, any concordances. We do not use them. Any African eccentric groups, FDA, FBA, or whatever they're called, foundational Black American groups, or anything like that traditionally made by men. But we take heed to the words of Jehovah and the words of Jehovah only. We are taught by the Spirit and not by the tongue of men. And this is straight out of Compton. Shalom.